Usually when I direct a movie, and again, I don't make that many, and it takes me a long time. Troma produces movies for other directors. Right now we're producing a movie called Father's Day in Canada, and basically the director will have pretty much total freedom. I mean, obviously I'll give him suggestions for the script and blah, 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 but it's his movie. It's the director's event. In the case of my own movies, usually they're fueled by some theme that gets into my head. That's something that with Toxic Avenger, my wife and I used to go camping, and we noticed that everywhere we went there was McDonald's plates and cups and stuff. Then I don't think they were biodegradable in those days.
Oh,
yeah, there was styrofoam, and it was, and then I get a lot of, or I was getting a lot of. Most of them are no longer around, but thanks to the internet, you do get them. I used to get a lot of newsletters, kind of underground stuff, and I remember reading about toxic waste dumps all over the world, ticking away like time bombs. Children in Rio de Janeiro playing with what they thought was pixie dust, running around the dumps playing with pixie dust, which turns out to be radium discarded by the hospitals. Stuff like that. And that got me thinking, well, here we are in an age, this was early 80s, at least in the Americas, people are going to gyms and eating organic food was a lot of that thought, a lot of that mindset about eating organic, and so we were beautifying our bodies while the big blue marble of ours was being defiled. I thought that was an interesting theme for a movie, and so that kind of got my thinking going regarding Toxic Avenger. And with Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead, McDonald's, the fast food joint, moved in next to our little Troma building, and we were immediately infested with possum-sized rats. And and then I started to read a bit about the fast food industry, and McDonald's was not a very nice neighbor. They did some naughty things, and so I started to educate myself about fast food industry, and I learned this is really a horrible, horrible blight on the world, and in every level. The animals are tortured. The carcasses and the defecation and all that stuff is all over the polluting the groundwater, and the stores are ugly. They look ugly. The food is totally horrible. It creates obese people. The workers are exploited. Don't get proper health care. I mean, there's nothing good, absolutely nothing good about this industry. So that was kind of the germ of what got me doing Poultrygeist, as well as the fact that I love musicals, and there are obviously other themes in Poultrygeist, the hypocrisy of the rich Clinton so-called phony, what we call them limousine liberals. That is another part of that particular movie theme, and gay rights is important, and stuff like that. So it takes me quite a while. Romeo and Juliet was it took 5 years to get the script that I felt we ought to film, and luckily for me, I don't have to have Toxic Avenger Part 5 ready for Christmas, because nobody wants our movies. That's Peter Jackson's job. He's got to get his movie ready for Christmas. I can take as long as I want for Toxic Avenger Part 5, which is what I'm working on now. The Toxic Twins. And I am taking a long time. I'm on the third writer. So,
do you write them yourself?
Nope. I come up with the theme and kind of a storyline, but usually there are young people working at Troma, and it's sort of, I talk to them, and here's my idea, and blah, 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 and we bat a lot of ideas back and forth, and in the case of Toxic Avenger, we've been, I hired a script writer, and that didn't work, and then I hired another one, that didn't work, and I got the third one now. The third one came through the guy who wrote History of Violence, Josh Olson, who is a great writer, and so I figured he happened to be a Troma fan, and I just got lucky and met him, thanks actually to Joe Dante, who was a great director, did Gremlins and also Piranha, the original Piranha. And so Josh Olson had a protege, and so that guy is now putting together a synopsis that we wrote at Troma. and he's writing a script off the synopsis we wrote. Hopefully it'll be okay. And then I keep working. Then after I get a first draft, I rewrite it and re-edit it, and it goes on forever.
I remember hearing a couple of years back you wanted to do something that was a little more mainstream, but people felt that you had painted yourself in the corner doing these more outrageous films. Is that true or not?
Oh, I don't know that. What was the mainstream thing? I think everything I do. I always feel that everything. I think in a fair world, Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead would be embraced by the mainstream, but nobody knows about it, so it can't be. In fact, ask Neville Dean and Taylor, the guys who directed Gamer and Crank. They just told. I was just I was just with them. That's exactly what they said. They said if it was a fair world, Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead would have been a huge, huge, huge hit. So I do believe that my movies would appeal to the mainstream, but unfortunately they're not permitted to get to the mainstream. I don't know of any project where I said I'm going to not do well, actually, no. I did compromise on Toxic Avenger Part 2 and Part 3, and I regret that. I made certain compromises because of the desire to increase the audience. And that was a huge mistake, and I regret it. I cut out some of the more extreme, controversial themes, as well as some of the more explicit footage, and I regret that to this day. And the same with Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, which was a co-production between a big Japanese company and Troma, and the movie is still a good one, and Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, as I mentioned, people want to remake it. It's a fine movie, but I think it could have been a lot better.
I wanted to ask you too, since you've been an actor, you've been a director, a producer, a writer. Which one of these things do you prefer? What's your favorite?
Well, I'm a film nut. I enjoy anything to do with movies, and for certain directors, the director, to me, is the most important part of the puzzle. So,
as a writer, I disagree with you wholeheartedly, sir.
Well, you're probably you may be right. And the writers are definitely riding the back of the bus. The writers should get more money and should definitely get a lot more noise about them and a lot more respect. But being an auteur filmmaker, for me, it's all about, and I do a lot of my own writing, but it's all about, and I wish I were a better writer, and I think my movies probably would be a lot more popular were I a better writer. But the case is, I believe in the director, and it's the director's event, and the director should be all-powerful dictator on the set, and the best writers should be directors. Preston Sturges was a writer whose movies kept getting screwed up, and he became a director and made a series of the best movies in history, and then, of course, was brought down by the Lilliputians of the movie studios. He was destroyed by the suits, as was Buster Keaton, as were many others. But I just like anything about movies. And the reason I act in movies, for the most part, is there are a lot of young Troma fans who are making their first movie, and if I'm in it, if I have a couple of lines or a cameo or whatever, the Troma fans will go and buy their DVDs, and so they make a little, it may help the filmmaker. Also, if I'm in it, the filmmaker can go to maybe somebody a little higher up the food chain and say, well, Lloyd Kaufman's doing this movie, and so maybe some slightly known name actor will see that I'm a serious player and that I'm not going to be in a movie that's totally asinine. So maybe he, she, or it will agree to. And a lot of times I do it for free if there's no budget. And I learn a lot, by the way, because I've been steeped in the celluloid sprocket hole world. All the movies I've made are 35 millimeter film, and I don't know much about the world of digital or video. So I've been when I go on these sets, I film behind the scenes, and as I say, I've written a bunch of books, but I film the films that I'm in behind the scenes. So if you get the DVD box set, Direct Your Own Damn Movie.
I actually have that one.
Oh, thank you. There's thanks. You'll see there's a behind-the-scenes piece on Gamer, which is an $80 million movie, and I think the first mainstream movie to use the red camera, which is a revolutionary new digital camera.